on the media whiz, because one art form wasn't enough, and it's Ed, Edd, and Eddy time once again. Last time we talked about Ed, Edd, and Eddy for this show, we looked at the episode that's often hailed as the worst episode of the entire show, If It Smells Like an Ed. A two-part episode involving the Eds having to figure out who framed them for ruining a made-up holiday called Friendship Day. The biggest problem with the episode being the complete bullcrap treatment of the Eds. Not only do they get their asses beaten by the kids and then assaulted by the cankers, but the only comeuppance Jimmy gets for putting them through any of this is by slipping on a banana peel. After rewatching the episode itself as well as my review, I still think If It Smells Like an Ed is easily the show's lowest point, but there are still a couple of other episodes that are deemed as the worst episodes of the show amongst Ed's fans. The two episodes I often see tossed around are Your Ed Here and this episode, Smile for the Ed. Will I ever review Your Ed Here? I don't know, probably. But even if I don't get around to reviewing it, go check out Nordy's review. He did a really good job. But as for the other episode, Smile for the Ed, this came around in the show's final season, Season 5. And I know there are some people out there who didn't like this season compared to the rest of the show, but as I had mentioned in my initial retrospective for Eternal Summer, I actually appreciated the fact we started seeing some different times of year and a world outside of the cul-de-sac for this later season. I liked a lot of the school episodes of the show because it gave us something new for the characters to work off of. But that doesn't stop this episode from being hailed as one of the show's worst. But could it possibly be any worse than If It Smells Like an Ed? Well, let's find out. This is Smile for the Ed. The episode begins with the school's picture day, as we see Jimmy's pansy ass running away after getting some canker cologne spilled on him. Then he freaks out when he finds out that Plank has the same exact outfit as him.
Whoa, Plank! You and Jimmy ordered clothes from the same catalog! How cool is that? I'm so generic!
Why the hell wasn't that the end of If It Smells Like an Ed? And also, leave it to a piece of wood to somehow wear a piece of clothing better than Jimmy.
Nah, two game show host. Off model.
It's funny that Eddy says that that smile was too game show host, because I could totally see Eddy growing up to become a game show host. Preferably something that isn't Pop Quiz Hotshot. Eddy then tells the other two Eds why he's so self-conscious about pulling off the perfect smile. According to his parents, if he's able to do a good picture this year, he can move into his brother's room. And we gotta remember, this was before Big Picture Show where it was revealed that Eddy's brother was a massive douchebag.
Make sure you get my good side, bozo!
I guess that
Hey look, Leah's showing one of her 3 eyes. Don't think we haven't forgotten about that since Big Picture Show.
Rolf is ready to have his soul pilfered from his very eyes!
Hey, call back to an Ed is born.
Are you stealing Rolf's soul with your pill box?
Also, thank you for reminding me that all the remaining people in line have a thing for Naz. A nice little callback to Boys Will Be Eds. So it's finally time for Eddy to rock this picture day, until Kevin throws a monkey wrench into things by saying dork out loud, catching Eddy off guard, causing him to screw up the picture. And if that isn't the face of a man rife with disappointment, I don't know what is.
I think I'm getting my temperature taken.
Surely it's not that bad, Eddy. Isn't your mother farsighted?
Oh, you look like an onion. Moms love onions.
Stink?
Yes.
No. Oh, they make you cry?
No.
Oh, you leave them out in the sun, they get all brown, start sprouting little white hairs.
But Double D reassures Eddy by telling him that they can redo his picture during lunch period because of his connections to the school's photography class.
It'll be like this punk photo never existed. Hey, Charlie the Bird Brain Parker.
One of the things I like about this show is reference humor like that. They never really go overboard with it, and it's often references to stuff that kids probably won't get, but adults would probably find really clever. Like, how many people are going to know that Charlie Parker reference? I wouldn't have known about it if I hadn't looked it up. So, I think it's very clever. Small dialogue like that I often really appreciate, and I mention this because despite a few lines of dialogue like that,
My brother's room is in the bag. What in the house, Eddy? Talk about adding insects to injury.
it's one of the only few saving graces this episode has. Eddy thinks he's home free, but instead of simply tearing up the picture and throwing it in the trash, he hands it to Ed to launch out of his saxophone, which leads to the bunk photo landing into Kevin's possession. Cut to later in the day, Kevin has photocopied the picture to where it is all over the school now.
It's a miracle, yes. Finally some Ed Boys merchandise.
Ah, yes, Rolf showing what a true man of culture he is by rocking his Ed, Edd, and Eddy merch. Using their cartoonish ability to break the laws of physics, Eddy takes the entire school photocopier, along with all the pictures that they're able to collect within arm's reach, and shove it all into a locker, as it continues to make more copies. Remember that, it comes back later. And as an extra level of salt in the wound, people are now wearing masks of Eddy's terrible picture. Being the ultimate of best friends, Double D uses Ed, all wired up as a speaker, to speak over the intercom, posing as the principal.
All copies of student Eddy's school photograph are to be returned to him immediately. Failure to comply will warrant detention for everyone for the rest of the semester. Thank you.
Bummer.
I just impersonated the principal. Made false declarations in his name. Oh, what have I done?
I know we regularly never see adults in this show, but where the hell is the principal? And for that matter, where are any of the teachers to step in and stop what is clearly grouping in on and targeting one specific student? Then again, this is the same school that lets the kids have a massive food fight and only punishes 3 of them to clean up the entire school like in Hanky Panky Hullabaloo. So now, with everyone turning in their copies of the photo and lunch period going on, the trio are off to redo the picture.
Shoot, rats! Due to yesterday's photography assignment, I'm afraid I only have one last exposure on this film.
Well, that's convenient. I mean, this is the room for a photography class. You think they'd have a camera that probably holds more than one picture, right? Unless, I don't know, this school is really out of date on its technology or state funding sucks, I don't know. But as they're ready to take the new photo, Kevin pulls another massive dickhead move and puts the original photo over Eddy's face, making this all for nothing.
Oops, forgot one.
Oh, Kevin, screw you, Shovel Chin. You know, I'm now glad Eddy took advantage of your needle phobia in that one episode. So freaking cathartic right now. And as another extra added level of kick to the nuts, the photocopier from earlier explodes and now the picture literally is all over the school. And the Eds are the ones who have to clean it all up. And I guarantee you, Kevin probably got nothing out of this despite being responsible for this entire thing. Eddy even mentions that he's now got detention for impersonating the principal, something he didn't even do. But once they're done cleaning up, Eddy finds a silver lining. Liking a drawing that Ed did of him, he decides he'll use that, thinking that his parents will fall for it.
Hey! I ain't pulling a stupid face in this picture! This'll work for my school photo! Big Bro's room, here I come!
Let's hope that Double D's joke about Eddy's mom being farsighted earlier was accurate.
Isn't your mother farsighted?
That was Smile for the Ed, and it's not the worst episode of the show, but it's definitely the weakest episode of Season 5. This episode has a lot of the same problems that I mentioned in my If It Smells Like an Ed review. Usually when the Eds are screwed over, it's usually because it's either deserved, or it's because of their own incompetence that does them in. There are plenty of episodes where Eddy does jerk things, but his comeuppance actually feels justified, like in episodes like Brother Can You Spare an Ed. Even in Smells Like an Ed, Jimmy did what he did because Eddy wedgied him. But here, Eddy doesn't deserve any of the crap that he's dealt in this episode. It's just that Kevin is an enormous prick, and he doesn't get any sense of payback on the Ed's part. The only thing that this episode has over If It Smells Like an Ed is 2 things. One, the few funny lines of dialogue actually kept me watching and did get genuine laughs out of me. And 2, the episode is shorter. Rather than a 2-part episode that has a setup with a weak payoff, this is just a quick 11 minutes of just plain weak writing. Again, will I ever look at your Ed here? I'm not sure. Maybe someday down the road I'll end up reviewing it, but as for now, Smile for the Ed is just another bad episode of one of my favorite shows of all time to add to the bookcase. I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough.
For the paint, you know?
Fuck you, you nutless motherfucker!